And welcome to episode number 17 of the Between Two Brands podcast. I am still your host, Bill Petrie, and thank you again for joining me on this little content ride. Before we get started today, let's go ahead and pay the rent. Hey, distributors, you know what? It's time to wake up. Your clients are no longer satisfied with you merely acting as a middleman, slapping their logo on generic, predictable, and frankly, uninspiring products. What they're demanding is something more, something a lot more. Merchandise that feels as if it was thoughtfully curated just for their unique brand. To stand out, your clients need something exceptional, products that truly reflect their identity and set them apart from the crowd. And this is where our friend Russ Mogel and his team over at Seven Sourcing come in. With over 30 years of direct custom merchandise sourcing, they are the clear leaders in the space. And here's just a few reasons why. They have established relationships with vetted and trusted factories. They ensure all merchandise passes a rigorous quality control check by an accredited third party partner. They comply with, but frequently exceed industry standards, manufacturing requirements, and product safety regulations. They manage every part of logistics and communicate through every step of the process. So, in other words, with all their expertise, they know how to deliver bespoke merchandise that will position you as the distributor as the hero in the eyes of your client. And they do that while also steering clear of the common pitfalls that come with managing it all on your own. To be clear, of course, yes, it takes a little bit more time, typically between 75 and 90 days to design, develop, and deliver truly unique and original merchandise. But isn't that extra planning worth it to craft exceptional products for that foster lasting loyalty? Uh, I don't just believe it, I'm certain of it. I've seen the change. So when you're ready to elevate yourself from just a promotional products distributor to a true partner who delivers exactly what clients crave, unique custom branded merchandise designed specifically for them, reach out to Russ and his team over at sales@sevensourcing.com. So I had a whole bunch of things I was going to talk about this morning, but I woke up. I woke up sick this morning. It may not sound like it from my voice. I don't know how long my voice is going to hold out, but I woke up not feeling well. Started actually not feeling well yesterday. I'm recording this on Wednesday, May the 7th, and I woke up yesterday not feeling great. Figured it was just allergies, and as the day went on, started feeling very run down, the typical drainage and things that come along with sickness. And it got me thinking that a couple things. Number one, since COVID, I think I've forgotten how to be sick. During the 4 years of COVID, because there was so much isolating and there were wearing the masks and all the preventative measures we took as a society to not get COVID, it also prevented us from getting the common cold. And so I can't remember honestly the last time I was just sick. Little bug, little whatever it is. And it's nothing serious. I'll live. Um, but I found it interesting. I don't remember what it's like to be sick. And I was really actually curious if anybody else felt the same way, that now that you get sick, it's like, how do I do this? Not that it's this Herculean task. It's just how do you exist with being sick? And so I thought that was interesting. But more importantly, I wanted to talk about it from an entrepreneurial perspective. Many of you who listen to this podcast or watch it, as the case may be, are solopreneurs or work in an office, work for yourself. You're just by yourself. And I remember back in the day when I would get sick, and I was one of those ding dongs who's like, I'm going to go to work no matter what, which is always a really poor choice when you do work in an office environment. If you're sick, stay home because all you're going to do is infect everybody else. But I was one of those guys that would just try to power through, power through, power through. But if I got to a point where I just can't get out of bed, I would call in sick and lay in bed for the day. And I remember those days. As a solopreneur now, and someone who is juggling multiple responsibilities with clients with varying needs and various deadlines and things that just need to get done. I don't feel like I have that luxury anymore. I feel as if I don't have the opportunity to, if I needed to, and right now I'm not at that point, but if I needed to just lay in bed all day and just try to get better, or I just don't have the energy to do things. I don't feel like I have the opportunity to do that. And it got me thinking that how much working from home or working remotely, it doesn't matter if you're at home or not. Is just a good analogy because I'm working from home today. I'm not going to go into the my office. I just there's no reason to get all gussied up and do that. I'm wearing sweatpants today. I don't usually do that, but I want to be comfortable today. But it got me to thinking how we really don't allow ourselves that opportunity, or we don't feel like we have the opportunity to truly rest when we need it. And I would love to hear from you guys. What is it like for you when you're sick? Because I've got deadlines I've got to hit today. I've got things that have to get done today. And yes, I know that my clients would be perfectly understanding if I said, hey, I'm sorry, this is going to be tomorrow or Friday. I'm really not feeling well today, and I don't know if I have the energy to get this done. I know people would be understanding, and I know that because I would be understanding. I think people are generally understanding. But all I think about as the solopreneur is if I don't do it today, that makes tomorrow and Friday a nightmare. And what if I feel worse tomorrow? What if I feel worse Friday? Then it's bleeding into the weekend, and now I'm really missing deadline. So it's this pressure that likely I'm putting on myself to power through. And again, I don't want to be one of those dramatic guys like I'm dying here. I've got a little bit of a cold, I've got a little bit of drainage, and I'm tired. That's it. Not a huge deal. I'm not operating at peak bill percent. But I don't, just the thought of not working today to try to rest up to get better, just the thought of that stresses me out to the hilt because I worry that I'll feel worse tomorrow and tomorrow I won't be able to get anything done. So I'm going to try to power through today. But I'd be curious to hear from you guys. As solopreneurs, people who work from home, how do you handle this? In how do you handle being sick? How do you handle that when you have deadlines? Because it seems like we don't allow ourselves to take time off anymore. Hell, if there's a snow day, my wife, who works in the school district as a speech language pathologist, they'll cancel the day she doesn't work. It could be a blizzard outside. I'm working because my clients are in Sacramento, California, and Houston, Texas, and wherever, and it may not be snowing there, and life goes on. So we don't have those days anymore, and it's kind of an interesting flip of the script over the last 15, 20 years, and certainly accelerated by our time sheltering in place during COVID. So, just a few random musings as I babble a little bit this morning. Sorry about that. But those are my thoughts, and I'd love to hear yours on taking time away when it's necessary, when you're feeling sick. So, I'd love to hear from you on that. You drop them in the comments, email me, whatever. Hey, but before we get to our guests, I want to remind you, many people know how to build a business, but so very few understand not only when to sell your business, but the process involved to ensure that you find the right partner and maximize the return on your investment. Now, honestly, you need an expert, especially one that has branded merchandise industry experience. And that's where our friends over at Certified Marketing Consultants come in. Jamie Watson and her team have decades of experience facilitating private company sales in the branded merchandise space. Now, to help you evaluate if it's time to sell your business, reach out to CMC at info@certifiedmarketing.com for a confidential discussion today. And hey, if you're going to be at NALC in Chicago next week, Jamie will be there as well. And you can email her at jamiew@certifiedmarketing.com. Set up a time to meet with her in person in Chicago and see if there's any synergy there and she can help you out. All right, enough of my complaining about being sick. Let's get on with the podcast and talk to our guest. Well, today's guest absolutely does not need an introduction, but frankly, I like to waste people's time. My time, her time, your time. So she gets an introduction anyway. She is someone who has worn more hats and choked out more nonsense than most of us will in a lifetime. She's a Navy vet, a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, a former powerhouse in the promotional products industry, recently named the coolest person in promo, no longer in promo. A passionate advocate for social good through her work with Promo Cares. For years, she was the voice of reason and occasionally chaos, alongside me on the Industry Insider podcast and then on the Branding Banter podcast. Now she's traded in promo samples and spreadsheets for squeaky toys and paw prints as the founder of the Bark Buoy, a boutique pet store nestled in the northern woods of Maine, where she is redefining what it means to work with purpose and probably training Labradors and martial arts on the side. She's fiercely dedicated, wildly funny, occasionally terrifying, and fully committed to getting me to watch The Goonies, which I continue to resist with every single fiber of my being. Please join me in welcoming my very dear friend, the one and only Meg Erber. Meg, thank
Uh,
you for being on the podcast.
that was fantastic, Bill. Thank you for having me. That was fantastic. I love your blue glasses too.
Thank you. I would love to tell you their like prescription and all this. I'm just old and I need readers, and I like readers with a little bit of style, and so I tend to buy readers. These came in a 4 pack and they match
Oh,
generally whatever I wear. There's black ones, there's blue ones, there's yellow ones, there's turtle shell ones. So that's the deal.
fancy. I'm needing some new glasses as well. I leave my my driving glasses in my car so I don't lose them because I'm sure that also comes a lot with old age. It's like, oh, where are my glasses? So I keep them in my truck so I don't. So I always have them to drive because we
Well,
need
I
them to
totally
drive.
get it. I totally get it. Well, again, thank you for being on the podcast. You know the drill. You're going to bring a couple topics you want to talk about. And then I have five very easy questions, should be very easy to come up with answers. So we can all get to know you a little bit better, especially in your post promo career. So, Meg, what you got for us today?
Gosh, man. I mean, I think everybody's always looking for an update. Everyone's always looking for some tea, but I really don't have anything. I'm I'm in a different stage in my life, Bill, and I think I don't know if it's just when you hit your 40s, when you hit menopause, when you become a grandma. I don't know. You just
I've hit
I'm
both.
in yeah, when you get old. I'm in this different stage of my life where I'm listening to a lot of Mel Robbins, right? And I'm like, all right, let them, because I feel like I've spent
Hmm.
my entire life being this people pleaser and at my own sacrifices tried to make everybody happy at the same time, and I could never do it. So I'm like, I don't know when this happened. I know we all went through COVID together. Prior to that, my brother passed away, and I think that's when this journey really started, to be honest with you. I realized how short life actually is. So
Yeah.
I started looking at life through a different lens, and a couple of years ago, we decided we wanted to buy a house up in Maine, in the beautiful state of Maine, up on Moosehead Lake,
Hmm.
which if you ever have a 10-minute conversation with me, you'll find I'm weirdly obsessed with this place.
Not so
um,
weirdly. It's beautiful up there. Not
it's
so
so
weirdly.
beautiful. I love it. I mean, it's foggy today, but I'm like above the fog in a weird way. So it's just
Yeah.
so cool. I love it. Um, so yeah, so about 2 years ago, after we bought this house, I wanted so they're a very small community, very like, hey, we hug each other, we're neighbors, we'll give you the shirt off our back, but whoa, outsiders, like whoa, like they definitely
Right.
hit the pause button on some outsiders. So I knew I had to warm their hearts over somehow, and I knew I would, but I, you know, volunteered again for all the things. I was on two boards immediately. Both
Shock.
are, yeah, shocking. Both of them are centered around land conservation, and I really started getting to know the community. And the more I came up here, I realized that there wasn't a lot of things to do or buy.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
I'm not like, I don't need to consume, because that's not what I'm talking about.
Sure.
But it's a small town. It is a touristy town.
Yeah.
We have a ski resort right down, like a mile down the road. We have a second
Just
largest
over
lake,
there.
literally
Just
right. I
up
can
that
see the
way,
mountain.
just a tad that way.
And then a 44-mile wide lake. I mean it's
Yeah.
huge. So it's an outdoor wonderland here, but it's so pristine and beautiful that it's like I knew that I had to be a part of it, but I knew that there needed to be more here, and I'm like, I can definitely do something here. I didn't want to come up here and change it because that's what a lot of outsiders try to do, and I think that's why they have that like whoa that
Sure.
reservation. But I knew that I need something that I knew that I needed, or as a family, what we needed, and
Yeah.
what the community needed. And we're a dog family, and we take our dogs hiking. We take them on the boat. They get muddy. They actually have a season here, and it's called mud season. So that, I mean, just to
Hmm.
say how muddy it gets. But yeah, so we were like, hey, where can we go wash our dog? Because I don't want to take my dog up to the bathtub and get the whole house muddy. And there was nowhere. I mean, the closest Tractor Supply is like almost 2 hours away. So
Holy cow.
yeah. So it always became like a what, like maybe one day we'll open up like a, pet boutique, doggy daycare. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a plan. We worked on our business plan, but it was always a one day. Go ahead. Do you have a question?
No, no,
Oh,
I'm just listening.
okay. So it was just a one day thing. And it really came down to there's no property, there's no, commercial leases, there's nothing because it's like, it was just stuff that's been here has been here for the last 50, 60 years, essentially.
Yeah.
So, it was always on pause. And again, one day. And then at Christmas, we were up here. And as we were leaving, I saw on Facebook that Patty over at Lakeside Stitches, not that you know her, that she was leaving. She was going back to York County, Pennsylvania. And so I was on that phone immediately trying to find, like, hey, who's the owner? Just trying to find out if that property would be available. I mean, I called everybody just trying to get down to the person who actually owned it. So when I got him on the phone, he was like, Meg, there's a less than a mile long to get in here. And I was like, I figured, but it couldn't hurt to ask. And he's like, I bought a little brown building on the other road on the lake. We were going to knock it down, but it's got really good bones. Do you want to take a look at it? And I was like, absolutely. And Bill, you're in marketing, advertising. You've been doing this a long time. One of the most important things about a retail brick and mortar space is the location, right? Location, location, location. It is right on the lake. Every event that happens in this lake happens directly across the street in this area. So, I mean, I couldn't have a better location. So I went in there and it was like old looking, like just, electricity, dingy, but I saw it. And I remember crying. I was like, oh my gosh, it's going to happen. And here we are. I'm up here in Maine. I've been sawing wood and painting and doing all the things that I've never done before. I mean, I've painted, but I've never used a saw.
Not like this, you haven't.
Not like this.
You haven't. Well, it's funny, and I love the update because you've been such a staple in the promotional products industry. And you've been very visible, you've been very active, you've had some great positions. And when you decided to leave your last position at Proforma, I think people, unfortunately, I think it's just the way society is. Everybody looks for a what happened. I want to know what really happened. What's the gotcha? And I had the same thing happen to me when I decided to leave Promo Corner in COVID and begin Brandivate. I think we all get to a point in our lives where a reset is necessary.
Absolutely.
I was listening to what you were saying, and a couple things really resonated with me. One, and we've known each other forever, so this is really us sharing our relationship with other people. But I, like you, am hardwired to be a people pleaser, and I have been for a very long time. And it got to a point where I needed to rewire that and do something that I felt passionate about, that I wanted to do. And that's what you're doing. And so there's nothing sinister about taking a leap. In fact, I think obviously I think it's courageous and bold because I've done it myself. And I didn't take the leap you're taking. You're leaving an industry that you love, you still love. It's all you know, and completely changing not only what you do for a living, but where you're doing it. You're in a community that is a small town. I love how you described it. And I can understand why people be wary of quote unquote outsiders changing things too fast or too much. And so I've seen a lot of the videos you posted. I've seen the building, and it looks like such a cool location. And it looks like you're doing everything you can to just kind of seamlessly fit in while providing what you feel is a needed and necessary service. So I think it's fantastic. I love your story, and I love the brand you're building.
Thank you. And, I was actually really struggling when I was making that decision to leave. And word had gotten out up here very, very quickly. And
I'm sure.
I remember I had put my 30-day, instead of a 2-week notice, I put my 30-day notice in.
Sure.
And I was really struggling. Like I probably had a panic attack a day, just thinking, like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Like, what am I doing? Literally kept having that conversation with myself. But then I would get a message here and there from people up here, and I keep telling this story because I know I said I've cried already. Well, maybe that was before the show, but I cried when I got this message, and it made me just recenter everything. And she said, "Hey Meg, we're all so excited. We heard that you were bringing a doggy daycare in and a pet boutique, and so I have 4 Great Danes, and well, I feed them open farm, but I'm willing to switch to whatever you're selling to support you.
That's awesome.
Take my money."
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm
Well,
like, this is why I'm doing it. Like, it just made
yeah,
me feel like I'm on the right track. And you never know, right? It's either
you
you
don't.
do or you don't. You can sit in stagnant, or you can challenge yourself and do hard things, do the hard
It,
things, and grow from
yeah.
it. That's all
Well,
you can
like
do.
you said, we get to a point in our age, and you're younger than me. You're quite a bit younger than me. I think you're what, 42 ish?
Oh, 44.
Okay, you're 44. I'm
44.
55. Yeah, you're 44. I'm 55. And you hit an age where you realize I'm going to regret more the things I don't do than the
Yep.
things I do. And I know you well, and I know that you're doing this without a net, which is the only way to do something like this. There is no plan B.
No.
Plan A is gonna work because you're focused on it, and
Yeah.
I'm so excited for that. Do you have anything else you want to bring up before we get into the 5 easy questions?
You know what? I just want to say that anyone out there that's thinking like, should I do this? Should I not do this? Do I sit where I am? It's safe. We die at the end of this. Like, newsflash, you
Yep.
guys, we die at the end of this. Jump on the plane, take the call, open up the pet store, start
Yep.
the cruise, promocation. Just do the damn thing, because at the end of this, we die, and you're going to regret all the things that you didn't do. And you know
Yep.
what? If I decided in 2 years or a year this isn't working, I'm like, oh, this is. I'm sure that if I wanted to come back to the promotional product industry on a level of like a higher level of just being a consultant, that you guys would accept me with arms wide open, because I feel like this is my
Absolutely.
family. Yeah, this is my family. Just
And that's you just hit on the word I was kind of going to come up with, and then we'll get to the 5 easy questions.
okay.
Is that this is a weird, super dysfunctional family in the promotional products industry, and a lot of people will say things like, the promotional products industry is like Hotel California. You can check out, but you can never leave. And I hate that analogy because it's so negative. To me, it's like, hey, there's always a space for you here. We'll find a space for the people who care, who do good work, and who really look to elevate the industry, which is something you've done your entire career. So, I, for one, hope you never come back, because that means your venture in Maine has fulfilled every dream and desire you have.
Oh, well,
So
thank you.
I don't want you back just for that reason. Selfishly, I want you back because I always like seeing you and hanging out with you. But, you
Yeah,
know,
I've gone away completely. I'm sure you'll see me somewhere. We'll see.
oh, I'm sure. Okay, let's get to know Meg a little more. Now, this
All right.
first question, and anybody who's watched this, I write extremely awkward questions because A, it amuses me, and B, it creates a little chaos on the podcast. Now, this first one, she's kind of already answered, but she's going to have to answer it anyway. Meg, you left the soul-sucking chaos of the promotional products industry to open a boutique pet store in the woods of Maine called the Bark and Buoy. It's time to come clean. Was this a heartfelt career pivot or just an extremely well-branded excuse to stop answering emails and give the next phase of your life a name that sounds like a Hallmark movie about a lobster fisherman and his trusty golden retriever?
Definitely B.
Excellent. Excellent. Now, I
All
actually
of that.
do. I'm going to ignore that question because we kind of answered it coming up to this. But I'm going to ask this. So, doggy daycare. What are the services you're going to offer at the Bark and Buoy? So,
Oh,
doggy daycare, pet
that's a great.
washing, right?
Yeah, so it's actually a self-service pet washing station. So that's going to be in the back right. We have a doggy
Okay.
daycare. I just put in a fence. And actually, I just very brief. I cried for the first time, not the sad tears, not the happy tears, yesterday. And
Yeah.
as I was saying, I spent all this money on putting a fence into this doggy daycare, and I got a call yesterday from the township saying it was too close to the road and they had to move it. So
Yeah.
it's fine. It's fine. I
Yeah.
cried. I moved on. Hey,
Right.
there's nothing I can do about it, right? We just got to fix it and move on. And then the
Yeah.
whole front is going to be retail. So I have dog food, treats, probiotics, vitamins, and then branded merchandise.
I was about to say there's got to be a branded merch
Accessories.
component to this.
Of course. So yeah, I've been working with a lot of our suppliers. I have some really cool Moosehead Lake themed merch
Awesome.
because people don't want to wear my logo, right? I have some cool stuff, but
You never know.
we'll see.
I have a feeling there's also some, at some point, some giveaways with your logo on them at a time of your choosing. I'm just guessing. All right.
Just guessing.
Number B. Let's harken back to your promotional products industry days. Meg, you're well known as having a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and having taught many women how to protect themselves, which is a lovely, lovely thing. Let me ask you, which is more dangerous, a mugger in a dark alley or a VP of sales after their fourth vodka gimlet at eye candy?
Oh, we all know the answer to that.
I don't, which is why I'm asking. I have no clue because they both sound equally dangerous.
So in my years in the promotional product industry, at any of these networking events, people would like talk and they would hear and be like, oh, that's the girl who fights people. And then at the end of four gimlets, someone would look at me and say, I think I
Ready to
can take
go?
her. And I'd be like, here we go again.
Yeah.
So we'll leave it
And
to your imagination, but it has definitely had a couple of fun evenings at eye
uh,
candy.
if memory serves, you are 196 and 0. You are undefeated in terms of any dumb box in promo who decides to go, so, think you can take me?
Yeah, very close. I
Excellent.
will
All
say
right.
someone did blindside me in a bar once and kind of double leg took me down in a bar, but we will leave his name out of this. rhymes with
Oh.
rhymes with
Yeah, and I don't edit the podcast, so if you say it, it stays.
it rhymes with
Let's leave it alone.
TJ.
Okay.
TJ
No,
quit.
no. We don't need to talk about that. All right. Hey, back in your time in the promotional product space, you had a prolific podcasting empire with Industry Insider and Branding Banter. In fact, I was your co-host on Industry Insider. If memory serves, I invited you on that podcast,
Yeah.
and then you guys staged a coup d'état and tossed me aside. That's fine. Looking back, what did it teach you? Besides that a podcast can be successful even when one of the co-hosts refuses to watch, let alone understand, The Goonies.
I mean, obviously you guys invited me, so anyone could do it.
Not true. You
no, I
brought
know.
a really, if anybody remembers, we had a podcast called The Industry Insider back when I was at Promo Corner, and it was to get every perspective on a podcast: the supplier perspective, distributor perspective, and service provider perspective. But what my concept was, we have a fourth chair because the other two people on the podcast were Stephen McFadden, who was a distributor, and we had a supplier in our good friend. Why am I
Definitely.
blanking on his name? Jeff Franklin. Thank you. Our good friend Jeff Franklin over at Headwear USA. And so it felt like just too much of a dude fest. And so we had a fourth chair that was open. We're going to rotate female guests in and out, guest hosts, to see who fit. Meg came in, knocked it out of the park. Fourth chair filled, done. And so Meg
Oh,
was part of that podcast from the get go. But what did you learn about yourself when you were podcasting? Because you
oh
started off and you
man,
were very nervous about it. You were very, very nervous about it.
so nervous. You know what's funny? I actually still get nervous almost before every podcast, and I think that's a good thing. I was nervous before coming on here. I get nervous before public speaking,
Hmm.
before a jujitsu tournament. I'm like, oh my god, like it's a performance anxiety is what I've learned from listening to Mel Robbins. But I think that's a good thing to have because if I feel like personally, if I didn't have that, I probably wouldn't care as much and I wouldn't do as much. And I have it because I really care. I really care about what I'm saying. I don't want to say something wrong. And I know that's a perception, but what I learned about myself is that at the end of the day, we all die. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So say the damn thing. And for a long time, I was under an umbrella where I had to watch what I had to say. And I think that's smart. I think that's smart, but it also doesn't also, it's hard to be authentic when you can't say what you want to say. So that's important. And when you were going to go, if you're going to start a podcast, know the rules. I remember once we were talking about, like, was it CPSI or something? And at the end, I was like, yeah, just slap a sticker on it at the end of the day. And I was like, oh my God, what did I just say? And I was shaking from that point to the day that it aired. And I remember the first thing I did was write a comment. I'm like, oh, here at wherever I am, we're CPSI compliant. I was like, I'm gonna get fired.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think
yeah,
it's
but it does show that
good.
you care. I agree with you because people ask me because I do a lot of public speaking in the industry, and people always ask me, and you don't get nervous before you do that. I'm like, man, I about crap my pants. The 10 minutes leading up to it,
Yeah,
absolutely, I don't want to talk to anybody. Please leave me alone. I just need to be alone in my thoughts and kind of
yeah.
get nervous about it. And then the first couple minutes I'm on stage or even on a podcast like this, it's a little unnerving. And I agree with exactly what you said. It's because I care. I want it
Mhm.
to be good. I want it to be entertaining. I want it to be informative. I want it to be educational. Whatever the goal or objective is. And if you don't have that, if you have so much of an I don't give a shit in your back pocket, it's hard to really perform. And
Mhm.
whether people want to realize it or not, you are performing. Now, I always say, and you know me very well, this is me. I am no different doing this podcast than I would be having a conversation with somebody, but it is a performance. I said earlier on the podcast before you got here, I'm not feeling great today. I'm a little sick. Nothing bad. I am fine, but I didn't sleep last night. I feel run down. My throat is
Mm.
hurting. Not a big deal, but I'm not going to get on the podcast and go, because that's how I feel today. And I got to amp it up and get ready to go. And so I get exactly what you're saying. And you did such a great job on podcast. I think your
Yeah,
voice is this. So I'm glad you agreed
thank
to, you're
you.
dumb enough to agree to do this. All
Well, it
right.
opened up a lot of doors. It opened up a lot of doors. It opened up the promo cares doors. It opened up every speaking engagement that I had from the promotional products industry. So thank you, Bill.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, you did it
And those of you who
yourself.
don't
Don't
like
thank
me,
me.
blame Bill.
Just blame me for everything. I've been married 31 years, almost 32.
You get
I'm
it.
used to being blamed. Okay, actually almost 31. Sorry. Boy, I'm gonna get yelled at. Sandy will watch this and I can't believe you
Oh,
said
that's okay.
32 almost. I'm like, well, almost 32 because it'll be 31 in a mere 3 weeks. So there you go.
Yay. See?
Speaking of promo cares, you did serve on the board
Mhm.
and you dove headfirst like a golden retriever chasing a tennis ball made of good. So here's your moment. Now that you're out of promo, how long until you launch a nonprofit where the dogs upcycle failed branded merchandise into emotional support vests, or create a purpose-driven coffee brand called Rescue Roast that funds therapy goats for overworked industry professionals?
Those are both two really good ideas. So my little one actually wants to do the first one, something very similar, but we just don't have the bandwidth this year. I think
Mm-hmm.
year two will definitely be when we introduce our own, rescue or 501(c)(3) or something.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yep. No, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And I know you've already gotten involved on some boards there.
Hmm.
You are a serial do-gooder. Um, and the world needs more Meg Erbers. All right,
It makes
Meg.
me feel good. It makes me feel
It
good.
it should. No, it's about giving back.
Yeah. Everyone
Yeah,
should do it.
I love it. All right, last question, and this
All
is
right.
maybe the most serious question.
All right. I'm
You have
ready.
spent almost a decade trying to get me to watch The Goonies, passionately, persistently, and I would even say unhealthily. So let me ask you this. What is it about that movie that speaks to your soul on such a deep level that you've made it your personal mission to convert a fully grown man with a mortgage, a career, and a functioning Netflix subscription into a one-eyed Willie disciple? And I do have a follow-up question.
Okay. So, what year were you born?
I was born in 1969.
So, I think like that age range from then to like 85, maybe it's like 65 to 85, they're calling it the Goonies era. We are like the last generation really to grow up being outside, going on
Mhm.
adventures, experiencing that freedom of not having social media and nostalgia and adventure. And I think I grew up and I was the same age as those people in that movie, or at least I thought I was. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it just felt like that was our backyard. It felt like that's what we did in the summers. And so when you grow up like that, and then there's a movie about it, and you like everybody you know has experienced it, and I'm like, you don't know about the Goonies?
Oh, I
How do
know
you
about
feel?
the
How do you
Goonies.
feel?
Here's the thing. I'm Gen X. I am Gen X through and through, for better or for worse. And you're close enough.
I don't know. I am.
You're
I'm on
you're
80. I am
okay.
80.
So you're Gen X as well. So agreed. I grew up I would leave in the morning. My parents would be like, when the street lights come on, come home for dinner, that type of stuff. They didn't know where I
Hmm.
was for 11 straight hours. I adore that part of my life. And I'm very honored, or I'm very glad that I was able to experience that in a way my kids weren't, your kids weren't either. So I get that. I don't think I can get past the name and the title of the movie, The Goonies. I just can't deal with it. And it was one of those, and there's a couple movies like this in my life where
Hmm.
a lot of people tried to get me to watch certain movies because it's amazing, it's transformative, and no
It's,
matter, and I'm so worried about watching it, it will never live up to my expectations. The
yeah.
Goonies is one of them. Who Framed Roger Rabbit is another one. People told me that was supposed to be amazing. Never seen it, and I won't see it.
I've
The
actually worn that
Godfather.
dress to Tess Bender's wedding. The Jessica
Okay.
Rabbit dress, I wore that to Tess Bender's wedding.
And here's one, The Godfather. Now I've seen parts of The Godfather. That's one of the worst movies I've partially ever seen. It's
Yeah.
terrible. So I'm not. I don't know about that. So let me ask you a follow-up question about The
Okay.
Goonies, real quick.
I do get that though. I can't watch anything with Russell Crowe in it. I just can't. I just
I understand. I
can't.
understand. So what emotional void are you trying to fill by forcing me to watch a bunch of unsupervised 80s kids commit light trespassing and several felonies in the name of pirate treasure?
We're gonna go on our own pirate treasure one day, Bill. Don't you know? I mean,
Are we going to go on the craggy coast of Maine and find our own pirate booty?
I wish this wouldn't like freak out. I would take you over there to see all the islands. Like when you see the end, when they like get saved by like the Coast Guard or whatever, and then
Yeah.
that's what it looks like out there. I think I bought this house with like Goonies in mind. No, I think it's
Well,
just that like that. It's just something that it's just a staple. Period. Every person, it's like a stepping stone in life. Like you just have to watch the Goonies. I don't know what
I
else
don't
to say. I'm going to buy the DVD and send it to you. Hopefully you have a way to watch it.
go right ahead. It's available on many streaming services. I
I
have
know.
had the opportunity to watch it, and I there will be a time I watch it. I don't know when that is. I'm not going to commit to a timeline, but I will watch it just because you really want me to. And I think but I think I would need to tell you in person because I think the unabashed joy you would have actually that I did it would
I'd
be
be overjoyed.
worth the time, worth the time. Now
There's also
before
go
we
ahead.
go, I know you're a big fan of haikus. I know you're a giant fan of haikus. So I wrote a haiku to end the
Oh,
podcast before I do the quick sponsor read. Let's do the quick sponsor read first. Let's tease that.
okay. Let's
Hey,
hear it.
distributors, remember, it's time to wake up. Your clients don't want, and they're not satisfied with you just slapping a logo on a product. They want bespoke, custom merchandise. And that's where our good friend Russ Mogel and his team over at Seven Sourcing come in. They have decades of custom sourcing experience, and they know the pitfalls and they know exactly how to avoid them. They have established relationships with vetted and trusted factories. They ensure all merchandise passes a rigorous quality control test by a third party accredited partner. They comply with and frequently exceed every industry standard, manufacturing requirement, and product safety regulation. And they manage every part of the logistics so you don't have to. Trust me, not something you want to do on your own. So when you want to give your clients, you want to create sticky clients with custom, bespoke, branded merchandise, reach out to Russ Mogel and the team over at Seven Sourcing at sales@sevensourcing.com. Now, Meg, I want to thank you for doing this to me, and here is your haiku. They never say die, but I say, no thanks, I'm good. Cue dramatic sigh.
I love it.
Thank
That
you,
was so
Meg.
good. Also, side note, Russ is my neighbor. I've known that guy for like 20 years. Love that guy.
I
And
know.
his brother. Good people.
Russ is one of the salt of the earth people. But hey, again, thank you for doing the podcast.
Not a
Meg,
problem.
good luck with the Bark and Buoy, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.